All yours, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, December 8th, 2021 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. This hybrid meeting will be held on the Zoom and in person, of course. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That order was effective immediately, and until it is rescinded, the state of emergency is terminated. On Wednesday, June 16, 2021, by action of the legislature, the order was extended until April 1st, 2022. So I'm going to ask everyone that's present to rise and join us in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. By way of agenda management, I'm going to say that we're going to do the first 9 items, which are pretty straightforward, so we can get some people in and out today. Then we have one contract award, which is straightforward. Then we'll get to the matter of the registered deeds appearance relative to the Abrams Management Report. So we'll make every effort to accommodate everyone and get our business done in an orderly fashion. I call the order. I'm going to take the roll call. Commissioner Stady.
Present.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Shea is present. We have a quorum. Number 3, motion for the minutes of the open session meeting of December 1st, 2021 for approval.
I did review. I had no problems.
Commissioner may have none.
So I think that's a motion, so I'll make a
Be
second.
so pleased. Yeah, I'll move that motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of open session meeting December 1st, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. Next item is number 4. Opera warrants. We have an approval today for the town of Dover. Last week, we had our first 2 opera grantees with us here. Town of Wellesley, number 1, and Town of Milton, number 2. And today, we're happy to welcome Chris Dwelly from the great town of Dover. And our 3rd opera application has been approved. I would say based on our way of doing business last week being the first week, I'm gonna ask the director Cronin for a brief explanation, say hello to the folks at Dover, award the award, and off we go. We'll take a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joining us virtually is Town Administrator Chris Dwelly. Hello, Chris. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Chris and the Town of Dover have submitted an application that has been approved under supporting public health. Dover's radio system that the police, fire, and EMS relied on recently failed. This copper wire system was over 50 years old and was previously managed by Verizon Wireless. Since this collapse, Dover has relied on a temporary solution, but is in dire need of a permanent solution. This grant of $210,000 is necessary for the town to continue to combat the COVID-19 crisis by providing a sustainable, predictable radio system for which our residents and first responders can rely on to communicate. So, commissioners, if you'd like, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Dwelly's here as well, but it's a relatively straightforward request. I might add, Chris came early into the process. He was very active trying to get this urgent item approved. So I present it to you today for your approval.
What's the total amount on it?
210.
210, yeah.
210,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd be pleased to move the approval of the grant to the town of Dover through opera in the amount of $210,000 for the reasons.
Actually, I beg your pardon. Chris, is it 210 or 201?
210, please.
Yes, give him the higher amount.
The information on the portal had 201.
If it's 201 in the portal, then it's 201. I don't have the actual request in front of
Beg
me.
your pardon.
Apologies for that.
It is $201,000.
So it's 201.
201.
Right.
That's what.
So I withdraw that motion with the
I'm
chair
sorry, go ahead.
with permission. I'll move the approval of the opera grant to the town of Dover in the amount of $201,000 for the reasons outlined by our director at our meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant our third opera award to the town of Dover in the amount of $201,000. Any discussion?
Just good to see more towns getting the money, and hopefully there'll be more coming.
The newness of this is fast wearing off, but it's exciting, and we're happy to be participating in this. And again, to the staff and everyone that's worked on this, I'm pleasantly and excited that everything's going. It's something that we were in the dark 3 or 4 months ago. We're no longer in the dark, and we're very happy to be involved in this. All in favor of $201,000 for the town of Dover?
Aye.
It is a vote.
One last item, I will have another town for you next week.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you all very much. Much appreciated.
No.
Okay.
Take care, Chris.
Number 5, endorsement of Norfolk County Bureau of Justice Assistant Grant Program award letters for to end domestic violence. Bannock Community Health Center, Quincy, and Walpole Fire Department for approval. Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you are award letters, they should be in your packet. If they're not, I can obtain them. But last week we discussed redistributing the Norfolk County portion of that grant to Manet and Dove, respectively. Following your approval of that request, I submitted a grant adjustment notice to the Bureau of Justice last week. It was approved on Monday, so before you is a request to endorse the cover letters associated with the grants. If you don't have them,
I don't think I have that, but
I'll see to it that they're here before you leave,
okay.
just to sign them off and get the letters out.
All right.
This is a time-sensitive issue because
The grant ends at the end of January. We've spoken to each of the grant recipients, including the town of Walpole, to ensure that they can expend the funds during this time period. I might add, Dove, I believe, was urgently in need of additional funds, so this will be a welcome seat on their behalf.
Do you need a motion for that?
last call, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'd move the endorsement of the Norfolk County Bureau of Justice Assistant Grant Program award letters to domestic violence ended, Manamet Community Health Center, and Walpole Fire Department. Yeah, Fisher.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Number 6, we have no appointments. Number 7, old business. Director Cronin.
None at this time, sir.
Thank you. Number 8, personnel matters. We have 2 at the agricultural school. Commissioner Stady,
Yes, sir. Sorry.
make the motion.
I'll move, Mr. Chairman, notice of contingent employment for Haley Lanigan of Oxford, Mass. For the rate stated as a substitute instructor, effective 12/9/21.
Second.
Made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It is a vote. Number 2,
Second, I'll move the notice of contingent employment for Nicholas Viola of Rentham, Mass. as substitute instructor for the rate stated effective 12/9/21.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote. Number 9, payroll and expense warrants.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
Approval.
we have 3. With your permission, I'll move the following: payroll of the county 22-23 in the amount of $137,752.11. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next.
Next up, expense for the county for December 2nd, 22, or 12/02/22, the amount of $55,761.72. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And we just voted it, but I'll move the expense of opera, it's listed as opera 4, opera -4, in the amount of $201,000.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
That concludes that,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Next is contract awards. Nancy, we have a contract for printing for a 1-year period and 1-year option for
Yes.
the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds.
To
Nancy
Printing
Rockwell.
Unlimited out of Holbrook. They were the only bidder. 3 bids went out, and they've been a vendor of the registry for printing for several years. And as far as I know, there's no complaints.
Any questions or comments about appointment of Printing Unlimited?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah, we have.
All right, so you want me to move the motion to
Sure.
approve?
There's no reason to hold this.
No,
is
there's
there?
no questions, right?
No.
All right, I move the approval of the award for printing to Printing Unlimited for the rate specified and as outlined in our quote here. Sufficient.
Second.
Okay,
Motion made and seconded to award printing for 1 year period and 1 year option to renew for the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds awarded to Printing Unlimited of Holbrook. But while I'm here, and we have our registry folks here, everything goes well with Printing Unlimited, Mr. Register?
Yeah, very well,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman. Everything is
Okay.
very good.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
I have my pen in the air.
wait a minute. Take
No,
that back.
I have, they do operating too here, so, you know. Number 12, fiscal year second supplementary appropriation motion. In your packet, you'll see from Director Cronin to the Commissioners, Norfolk County Advisory Board Finance Committee, which is meeting tonight, proposed second supplementary budget. And then we get right to the matter at the registry. Director Cronin, supplementary budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the county approaches the mid-year point of fiscal year 22, and in preparation of the advisory board's meeting next week, the Finance Committee will be meeting this evening to discuss the request by the county to address a number of different supplemental needs and transfer needs. In your packet, you'll see a list of projects with full justification, presentation of need. If the chair would like, I can go through each one, or I can certainly answer questions of the committee if they have any. But I just want to be brief this afternoon. This particular request is modest. It does include funding for a number of capital or one-time projects, as well as several studies and service contracts that would be needed as well. The particular funding source is FY21 surplus funds, which were identified in September as supporting the FY22 needs of the county. As I mentioned, we're looking to spend down approximately $374,450, leaving a balance of $625,550. If the commission would like, I can go through each item.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I was wondering,
Absolutely,
just,
Commissioners.
I had some just general, it'd be better if I could do it that way. So in the Commissioner's office, the question I had, and I saw the outline on the veteran services. So Dale is still with us, correct?
He's a contract
He's-
employee. Yep.
For Holbrook, correct?
Avon.
Avon. Can we get him in maybe in the new year to kind of just touch base? See how he's doing? Would that be appropriate?
Yes,
Just to
absolutely.
bring him in. I saw that. I saw some work going on when I walked into. Is that part of the technology upgrade?
It was, that was part of the planned security upgrades that the
Right.
advisory board approved in September.
Okay, good. Okay, good. If I may, Walton Recreation, these are more or less the items that our director covered with us in terms of items he wanted done
Yes,
when he met with us,
yes, it
like
is.
the walkway and things of that
That is
nature.
correct. The walkway, the additional netting, as well as the recommendation from the Abrams Group to look into a more cellular-based solution for golfers to reserve tee times
Right.
and communicate more efficiently.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Facilities.
Mhm.
Anything that John wanted that we didn't address? That's my main concern. I know we had heat issues. You mentioned that.
We've covered everything, I believe, that was
Yeah.
requested by facility maintenance. I want to draw our attention to one item which has been well discussed, and that's the Registry of Deeds
Right.
building has two boilers. One has failed as a result of decayed inner workings. The vendor has been able to reassemble it
Mhm,
to produce a modest amount of heat safely,
mhm.
but we're producing a request here to fund temporary auxiliary heating if needed.
Mhm.
It's not anticipated, it's not expected, but New England winters being what they are, we didn't want to find ourselves with a hobbled second boiler and a further delayed delivery of the new boiler, which is expected in February. So this gives us the financial flexibility to bring in a solution if needed.
Okay, because just to follow up,
Sure.
we talked about maybe cannibalizing parts and
did that.
reassembling something.
They
We
did
did that. Okay.
And that's
All
why the hobbled boiler is now functional.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, one last one. The tuition study of the Aggie School, is that covered in there?
Yes,
Okay, I
it is.
just looked at this.
Yeah,
Is that
you find that
included?
on the first page.
Okay,
second
great.
bullet.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
The estimate of cost was provided by the agricultural school again, as you know from your meeting in November with the Board of Trustees, the
Right.
schools commissioner. It's envisioned to be a relatively quick turnaround study focused exclusively on tuition rates and the impact any changes would have on communities within and outside Norfolk County. And hopefully have some kind of result or product back for the trustees to examine in time for the fiscal year 23 rates, which I think, if I recall correctly, have to be approved sometime in February. So
Right, I think it's the timeline, right. So what's the amount that we're actually moving, Mr. Chairman? What's our supplemental request going to be? for this FinCom?
$374,450. And the whole list is on page 6.
that's right.
Starts with the
It's in
tuition
here.
study.
There are two pieces. I beg your pardon.
Go ahead.
Sorry about
I
that.
keep saying 317,449, no? That's not the number?
So you'll have two numbers.
Yeah,
One funds transfers.
yeah,
And one they both fund transfers and supplemental needs. One's hitting operating accounts and one's hitting capital.
so
So
I'm
I'll
going to
need
move
two
those bond
motions.
numbers here.
Need that number.
Yep.
And that
That's
number,
my,
please.
okay, yeah, great.
Not 374.
No, it's only.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
That's all right, that's why it's all right.
374 is just the
We'll
supplement.
make sure we get the right number. All right, unless Peter had questions. No, all right. So I'll move, Mr. Chairman, by the fiscal 22 second supplemental appropriation highlighted as capital, the total amount of $317,449.09. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Second motion, Mr.
3
Chairman.
to 0, yes.
I'll move the second motion to be supplemental appropriation for operating in a total amount of $201,480. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further question? All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Mr. Chairman, this one requires your signature. That's all. The other one you signed, but that was missing your signature.
I see. Thank you.
Well,
So thank you for that vote. The matter will now be brought to the Finance Committee this evening and the Advisory Board's attention next Wednesday evening.
since we have the Aggie meeting, who's going to be attending that? Or are you going to be attending that?
I'll be at the Finance Committee meeting.
You would find, okay, good, okay,
Yes.
okay, great. All right,
Next item.
Is there another page?
is that it? No, I put this right
That
here.
was the one that
Yes. Yeah,
Joe hadn't signed here.
Both to sign now.
Thank you.
We signed the top. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay,
Okay, that's number 12. Number 13, discussion of Abraham's group recommendation for the registry of deeds. We're going to ask Register O'Donnell to come up and sit with us.
Oh.
And I will open it up and go to the register.
I'll give you another favor if you want staffing.
what's the gift you won the other night? You could have brought that.
I should have brought the gift, yeah.
I walk into the
Yeah.
lovely affair. I missed you, Mr. Chairman.
I got a
But the-
ride home from
It-
I got a ride home from the DA. I was in a hurry to get
Can't
home
get a
early.
ride.
Guess what?
You can't argue with that.
Maybe.
No, listen.
I got to my driveway early, but by the time I got in the
I
house,
had another holiday party to attend to the season. And as soon as I walk in, they announce me, and then guess who hits the prize? Right
I
here.
didn't know.
Big
that.
basket,
I
big
left
basket.
my ticket.
You
with
could have shared a little
Big
with
gift,
us.
huh?
I did.
Maybe later.
Maybe.
All right.
Depends how things go here.
Oh,
No. All good, all good.
Okay. This is, I think, number 5 meeting that we've had with our department heads relative to our recent management study done by the Abrahams Group. Commissioned actually in the waning days of 2020 and then implemented, and we're halfway home in 2021. As I've stated before, the breadth and depth of this material has taken us some time to review and possibly to adopt some of these recommendations, possibly not to. But we're trying to ask everyone to bear with us. We're trying to talk to as many people as we can. We're certainly most interested in what department heads have to say, because after all, they're the implementers of anything that we do. And they're also going to help us, I hope, implement the 2023 budget. So we've encouraged everyone to share their thoughts. We're not halfway there, but we're getting close to taking a comment. But it's an open door and it's a continual process. And we've met with Walson Recreation Facility. We've met with the Agricultural School. We've met with our IT person, Mark McDonald. We met with John McGowan from the Maintenance Department. And today is the Registry of Deeds. We have a few more departments, I believe, on December 15th. So with that, I'm going to open it up to Register O'Donnell.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Josh, sorry. And I've said this to every other group that's come before us. The Abrahams Group was an effort by the county to consolidate as much as we can and make the county more efficient where we can. And it wasn't, it's a study by the Abrahams Group, and it's something that we're going to review, and we hope to work with the departments. And there are different things within the report that different departments will say, oh, we can do this. And some things, we don't like to do that. And so we're looking for feedback from the different departments to see what we can agree on to start, and then to see what works for the department and what doesn't. And our goal is really to make the county more efficient and to do it at less expense to the cities and towns that are funding it. So anything that you can give us back with feedback, that'd be great. And if there are things that you see that you can agree on that are easy, if you want to talk to the county director, even later after the meeting, that'd be swell. And then I know you're going to raise different issues today, but I just want to bring that up, that everyone is the same. We're just trying to boil it down a little bit to try to make a better product.
Well, I appreciate that, Peter. And I recognize that, with any, that you said it's a recommendation. But, I'm here to advocate on behalf of the Registry of Deeds, of course, and we feel that the registry is a sound, customer service oriented operation, and it certainly utilizes technology. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the registry staff and employees who make it all happen. So, yes, we use technology, but it's the employees that make it happen over there. They do a great job. And I hope it's not lost on everyone. They did it during the pandemic. The Registry of Deeds didn't experience a single day of uninterrupted service during the pandemic. And it was because of two things: the registry staff and because of technology. So the Registry of Deeds was open and operational every workday, and that goes back to the start of the pandemic in March of 2020. So, I would, I know I sent to the three county commissioners a couple of documents, and in some of those documents, there is agreement with the Abrams report. One big agreement is we're the second busiest registry in the state of Massachusetts. And the only registry that was busier than us is reported to be the sixth largest registry in the United States of America, Middlesex South. So we were tremendously busy. And it wasn't just for 1 year, it was for 3 fiscal years. The Abrams report looked at fiscal 19, 20, 21. So again, we were tremendously busy. With being busy, again, it's because of the registry staff, and through technology, we collected a lot of revenues. Over $81 million was collected in fiscal 21. And $11 million of it came over to the county. So these are significant numbers, and I hope it drives, again, my focus today is technology, because obviously we have a little controversy as to information technology. And I think one thing this controversy has shown is that there is a number of people who have stepped up for the Registry of Deeds, and they haven't done it because anyone asked them to do it. They're doing it because these are registry users, whether they're attorneys, title examiners, just regular citizens, the assessors department. We interact with the assessors department. So a lot of people have shown great regard for the Registry of Deeds and what gets done there every day. So I don't think I'd be doing my job if I didn't say this. There will be no modern functioning Registry of Deeds without an on-site registry IT technology department. If you want to do other things with our technology department, that's great, but it's a 2-person department that is at the Registry of Deeds. And it works with the Registry of Deeds staff. And more importantly, it's interwoven in our operations. So my chief focus today, is the IT recommendation that Mr. Abrams came up with that I think severely impacts the registry IT staff that's been there. And also it will affect operations. And we clearly have disagreement with that. And And I know, again, if I could make this part of the record, and I know it went to you, I made no secret about where I stand on the issue. One thing about the Information Technology Department, I want to emphasize, it's woven into the fabric of registry operations. Through direction, they're not an island unto themselves. We've incorporated them into operations. We're in sync with them. And all the things that have gotten done over the years, I will challenge anyone to say that the Registry of Deeds hasn't been an agent of change or hasn't rolled with the modern times. When I got there, there was no email there. And you'll get some perspectives with some of the people that are here today, like Rich Kennedy, who came back because he was around. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my first Chief Information Officer who came on board when I started in 2002. That was Chuck Phelan from Quincy. And he was replaced when he went on to do bigger and better things in the city of Quincy with Jim Limby, who just recently retired. So we've had two registry chief information officers, and they worked with me. They worked with the registry staff. They worked with the registry users. They worked with the assessing departments. They worked with the public. And I think that was lost when this Abrams recommendation came up. So what I'd like to do, you know where I stand, and later on I may try to circle back with some comments, but I thought it'd be best, why don't we just listen to the professionals? And it's a good time. I'm going to start with Ed Wheeler. Ed has come here. We've had some changes, significant changes at the registry. We're sorry to lose great people, but we're happy that, they've moved on to, again, bigger and better things in their life. But they did a great job at the registry. But with Rich Kennedy leaving, we've had some shifts. And one of the shifts was we had to bring in a second assistant registry of deeds, and I'd like to introduce you to him and have him say a few words, because he comes here with experiences as an attorney, but also experiences. Let him talk about his experiences in registries, and maybe it's good to get a perspective from someone that is relatively new here to the county. So, Ed, come on up. Commissioner Shea, Commissioner Collins,
Hey,
Commissioner Stady.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Hey, Will, thanks for giving me an opportunity. Should I stand or sit?
Have a seat.
Thank you very
Please. You're too intimidating when you stand. I don't mind. Sit. Any minutes of
As the register said, I'm the new second assistant register. I took over that position on April the 5th. I was a title examiner since 1974. I used to examine real estate titles for my grandfather in Malden, and I got a job when I was in law school. I went to Suffolk Law School at night, and during the day I worked for a firm in Boston, Nunn McLennan Fish, in their real estate department. I did a lot of their commercial and residential title examinations. And after that, when I graduated, I was a solo practitioner, and I worked with a couple of other attorneys, and I mostly did conveyancing and title examination for other attorneys, and title policies I write. So I had obviously a lot of familiarity with the Registry of Deeds. So in 2003, Gene Broom, who was the Registry of Deeds at Middlesex South, offered me the first assistant's job. And obviously I took that job in 2003. I worked there while Gene was the register from 2003 to 2013, when a new register took over. And fortunately for me, she kept me on, not as a first assistant, but in a supervisory capacity, and basically, the person that had been there and understands the workings and the operation of the registry and the legal issues that arise in the course of the day during, taking in the documents and so forth. So last, I think it was December, register gave me a call, asked me if I was interested in coming over to Norfolk, and obviously I'm here. I jumped at the opportunity, and one of the reasons is because I've always respected the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, the operation, how it works. As I mentioned, I've personally examined thousands of titles. And I'm sure you probably know what a title is. If you're purchasing a piece of property and you go to the lender's going to have an attorney, or the attorney's going to have a title examiner, and somebody's going to come in and they're going to do a title report, and they're going to go back and they're going to search all the records that are relevant to that particular piece of property back 50 years. and they'll chain the title back, make sure that everybody who bought should have been a seller and there's no missing interest. So if A and B bought it in 1956, then A and B sold it in 1962, and if only B sold it, you got to account for A. Just it's a lot of technical aspects. So you go back 50 years and then you run everybody in that chain of title forward to see if their mortgages were taken out and discharged. I won't belabor that, but that's essentially what it is. And you compile the data, you give it to the attorney, they review it, and they pass title, and you close your loan, and everything runs smoothly, hopefully. Okay, that's not always what happens. The main thing in that business, the conveyancing business and title examination business, you have to rely on registry's records. They have to be accurate records. It's crucial. If there's a mistake, it can have really dire consequences. If say, for example, you're buying a piece of property from Mr. Smith, Smyth, and so the examiner goes back and searches the titles and says, well, here's this one outstanding mortgage, there's nothing else. And unfortunately, maybe somebody at the Registry of Deeds, when they saw the mortgage, they were inaccurate and they index it as SMITA. So the examiner doesn't see that mortgage, doesn't report that mortgage. They go ahead and sell that property. There's going to be a lot of problems, obviously, not only for the homeowner, but for the conveyancing attorney, for the title examiner, and for the registry. That's why it's crucial that the information is indexed correctly by the registry personnel. It's an important function. It's one of the most important governmental functions, in my opinion. And I think I bring a unique perspective to the registry and in reviewing the Abrams report. As I said, I've always thought of Norfolk as probably the best run registry. And when I was an attorney, and particularly when I was the first assistant register at the 6th largest registry in the country, if I had a question, a lot of times I'd call Rich Kennedy. I'd bounce it off Rich because I always appreciated his experience. Just to give you some of my impressions of the report, I read it particularly with interest, the registry operations part, and there's some inaccuracies that I found. I mean, not to belabor it, but like, for example, in section 14.7, it recites Norfolk County processed more documents than the average documents processed for fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 20, less than for fiscal year 2019. But if you look at the chart above that, the registry had processed more documents than the average registry on 2019. It just seems to me that somebody should have caught that. I mean, I don't know what the editing process was, but my main observation from the report was there was no input from any of the stakeholders. And by the stakeholders, I mean the Real Estate Bar Association. That's the organization that conveyancing attorneys turn to. They have their own registry section. I'm aware that no one from who was compiling the report contacted anybody from REBA. I talked to the president of another organization, the Mass Association of Title Examiners. No one had ever talked to them to get their input, anybody from that organization. I talked to the president a couple of weeks ago. Other stakeholders be like the real estate brokers, Greater Boston Real Estate Board, the Mortgage Bankers Association. It just seems that I question the statement in the report that when Norfolk County is compared to other counties that process large volumes of documents, other counties are more efficient in processing those documents. And I just say, wait a minute, what does that mean, more efficient? If you're using a metric equating efficiency with documents or transactions per staff, it's an unreliable metric. What you need as a metric is you have to have documents processed accurately, and you have to have documents processed in a timely fashion. Okay, accuracy, obviously, I've just told you what can happen if there's a misindexing. And timely is very important too. Timely is, it's a Friday and you're selling your property, you can't, and you are buying something in the afternoon, then you want to make sure your deed has to get to record in order to get the funds to buy the property. So you can have 2, 3, 4 different transactions tied in to the same, to the same amount of money. And if they blow it over at the registry of deeds, if it goes off the rails, you're talking 2, 3 transactions. And if it's a Friday afternoon and you have your moving van lined up, now it's going to go down the line. So the conveyances rely on the registry of deeds to make sure they process these documents in a timely fashion. Even if it's a Friday, we get hammered over there sometimes, but you have to get everything on record. And if you don't, it's going to have some, serious consequences for your constituents, The one thing that in particular with the report was I noticed, I guess, section 14.20, the report recommends, I'll quote, Norfolk County should further benchmark itself to Middlesex South. The benchmarking exercise should start with Middlesex South as they process far more documents than Norfolk County with greater efficiencies in each of the 3 years analyzed. So I'm not sure what the report means by greater efficiencies. Having been the first assistant registrar and employed there for 18 years, I find that statement to be completely lacking in insight and any kind of fundamental understanding of registry operations. And I say that with love for my former colleagues, because they all did the best they could, but they were limited in the number of personnel, and they were limited sometimes by funds. It was brutal over there. And I'll give you an example. The registered land, you have to have a certificate of title. It's a different system, and I won't go into it. There is some explanation, pretty rudimentary explanation of registered land in the report. But basically, your title is a certificate of title. So your certificate of title has to be written and in the book for the examiners and the conveyancers to review. Middlesex South has thousands of certificates that are unwritten. And it's not because of a lack of effort, it's because they didn't have the trained personnel to write the certificates. When I left, I was the only one, and I had just trained somebody to be able to write the certificates of titles for subdivisions, because all these subdivisions go back to one large parcel, and it's a complicated procedure, and unfortunately, the personnel weren't trained. You can go to Norfolk County Registry of Deeds, every certificate is on the shelf within a month, I would say. There are no unwritten certificates over there, okay? Another thing is customer service. Norfolk has a great customer service department. Middlesex South, and again, I don't want to bash Middlesex South. I love Middlesex South. I love my time there. We didn't have a customer service department. People would call up, constituents would call up, asking questions. What do I do about my homestead? How do I get my discharge on record? And that call would be bounced around. I used to get a lot of the calls myself. Over here, we have trained personnel who can answer these questions, have experience, if you're an elderly person and you're wondering about the homestead, you don't want to have people talk down to you. You want to have good service that you can rely on, good information that you can rely on. You don't want to get put on hold for 10 minutes. That's just two of the examples that I can, say with respect to the difference between Norfolk and Middlesex South. Another one is the books are on the shelf there. You can find the document. I can't tell you the number of times I had to call a conveyancer to get a copy of a deed or a mortgage because they had recorded it and somebody had not properly scanned it and sent it back out the door. That's not going to happen here. Okay. I guess in short, what I'm saying is Middlesex South shouldn't be the benchmark here. And again, I say that knowing both sides, both systems inside out. The benchmark should be Norfolk. Norfolk is the best run registry there is. As far as the consolidation of the IT department, I'm not a tech guy. But when I started back in 1974 at the Registry of Deeds, it was photocopiers were they were the most advanced technology available. And I've seen it go through the process of imaging. We had the Wang system in Middlesex South. And now everything obviously is online, desktop imaging. The Registry of Deeds has to be at the forefront of technology. Not only that, the other thing I would say is I want the counter with the recorded land personnel. I have to supervise, make sure everything that goes on. If they have questions, they ask me, should we take this document? Should we not take this document? Try to process them as sufficiently as possible. But for example, last Friday, I wanted to try to maximize some efficiency. There was a little tweak that we could make, just eliminate keystrokes. Source subject, but it just speeds up the process. I called, I asked Dan, I said, Dan, can we do this? Let me take a look at it. Within 45 minutes, he was back. He said, you do this, you type this, and that, and you can go into that menu, you can do this, and it's going to save a lot of keystrokes. We need somebody to be able to talk to right away. I mean, we can't be waiting for somebody to call us back. We need the on-site IT personnel. I just don't know how a registry operation could survive without it. If you want to benchmark Middlesex South, when I was there, we had two IT people. We had an IT supervisor. We had an IT assistant supervisor. This is from 2003 to 2018, when unfortunately the IT supervisor passed away suddenly. During that time, we had an IT supervisor, IT assistant supervisor. We had a tech support person. We had a 3-person department, IT department, and the registry, because the state registry had the state IT department as a help desk, as a backup. But even with the help desk in the state IT department backing them up, they still had 3 people in the IT department. You had to have it. I just don't know how you could survive without it. So I guess I would just say, I think Confucius once said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I can tell you, in my experience, in my opinion, this registry is not broken. I know a lot of people that are in the business, conveyancers, other title examiners. Without a doubt, they would all say, Norfolk Registry of Deeds, and I'm not just saying that because she's sitting next to me. Norfolk Registry of Deeds is the best, one of the best, if not the best, operated registry in the state. So that's all I have to say, and I appreciate the opportunity to give you speak. Thanks.
Thanks. And when he was mentioning Dan, that's Dan Caparata. He's our registry IT technical assistance person. He worked, under Jim Limby and helped out. If I could bring Rich Kennedy, he brings some perspective too. So if you could come and just talk about some of his thoughts on the whole.
Nice to see everyone again.
Hi, Rich.
Thanks for the opportunity to sit here, and that was a tour de force. Just some comments on the report. I know a lot of stuff gets hashed over the years, and I've been here from the beginning when the computers and stuff came in. I work closely with Chet Svensson, who was down there, Chuck Phelan, Jim Limby. Like Bill says, the computers are an integral part of the registry operation now. Looking at the report, first part, as far as the recommendations for the registry, like Ed says, I didn't agree with a lot of the comparisons or the methodology, but be that as may, there was only a couple of recommendations. And we'll take a look at those and see if it advances the registry operation for the future. One of the comments I saw was that there was some confusion about upper management as far as responsibilities and who answers to who, whatever. But we've always had a pretty collegial operation over there, and everybody does what anybody can do. And they talk to these people. Yeah, I had just left, and it hadn't come on yet, so I can see where they thought there may have been some kind of problem with it. But I think the operation runs well now. The staff is great. These guys work hard, and I don't see any reason that there should be any kind of change there. The one thing that I didn't like about the study was that they didn't go over there and talk and see what we do. I think that's a key part of how you see a registry. Mr. Stady, very, very familiar face at the registry of deeds. He knows what we do. And I think if you're doing a study of the registry, it's very important that you go there. I understand the pandemic, but we've been open every day since June. We would have been available for, important visitors or whatever, if somebody wanted to come. We had the masks and the cleaning stuff and everything. So I think that was a major failure in the report. But be that as it may, like I said, we'll look at the recommendations. We'll take them into consideration and see if they positively affect our operations. The second one about the IT department, merging the IT department and taking it to the commission's office. I will say that in the past, it has been one operation. We've had Jim Limby was the head of the county IT, and he had Mark down here, he had Dan up at the registry, and everything was very, very smooth. I thought the operation ran very well. That was the way things ran for a long time. This is not a new thing that departments are separate or anything like that. There was an unfortunate incident with one of the other departments in the county that caused the breakup of the departments into the registry and the county IT. I think our guys had a legitimate beef about some of the things that were being done to the system because of the fact that they're so attuned to the security. I mean, the registry, we have to be on guard all the time, because if anybody could ever get into the system and start messing around with the names and stuff, with the information, or locks it up, we're cooked. I mean, we have all the books and stuff, which is great. We could go back and redo all the information. But, if we ever had one of those ransomware attacks, we'd be in serious trouble. I mean, they tell you to pay, who's going to pay? It's something that, we have to be on guard all the time. And I think that is such an important part of, what we do, what the county does. And the fact that we have this, the technology intertwined with the total operation of the registry, we have the electronic recording, we have everything, all the records at the registry back to 1793 are on the website. I mean, we've been open, not for the public every day since the pandemic started, but there hasn't been a big problem with the title examiners because they know they can find anything that they need. All the plans are there, images of all the documents, all the land court titles, everything is available on our website. And I don't think you can say that for many registries in the state. I know a lot of them were forced to even, let people in to search because they didn't have enough records. Some of them only go back, 30 years maybe or so to for indexing and stuff on the web. So, and that came about because of working hand in hand with the IT department in Brown Tech in figuring out, what we could get online. Well, how do we do this? How do we create a project that's going to get everything available for everybody? And it says we go back 50 years on the title. Well, yeah, most titles are easier like that, but a lot of times, there's gaps or something, you have to go back further and further. And, we're pretty proud of the fact that if you go at the records and put in book 1, page 1, you can see the first documents from 1793, but, nobody's really looking at those. But it's important stuff now for genealogy, or for the towns going back to look for information about, some of the properties that they own. All the, one of the projects that we did was the transcription project. We took all the books up to 1900 were handwritten, and we had them transcribed into typed images, so, people can read them, because some of that stuff is unreadable. My handwriting's unreadable now, and I can't, those people were trained as scriveners. It's still nowadays, it's not that easy to look at. So I know that, there's been a lot of comments pro and con about how this is going to work out. But I think the fact that, the guys up at the registry, not only do they, watch over the system, but, they answer a lot of calls, a lot of comments from people that are using the system. If you have a problem with your computer, you can call in, and line goes right into the IT department, and they'll talk to you, they'll walk you through it. They'll even remote into your computer and straighten you out, so the thing works to your best advantage. I mean, I think that's, part of the customer service. It's a big part of what the IT guys do. They're involved with sending the documents to the assessors, with the towns and things. But, from my point of view, it was working hand in hand with Chuck Phelan and Jim Libby, developing these programs so we could go back and enter all the information from 1975 to 1900, go back from 1900 to 1793. Try to get everything scanned in and make everything match, so people could, use it easily on the website. And I think we've succeeded at that. And I'm not saying there's not any more projects. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of things we can still do to enhance the records, to give people, a better understanding of the land and the buildings that are in the county. But I think that the fact that you would take the IT person and bring him down to the county, it doesn't make any sense, because I would say 80% of the work would be at the registry anyway. And to state how important we feel that our IT department is, there's never been a day without somebody there on site. And one of the rules that we have is and it's only a 2-man group, so you know how hard that could be. But there's always been an IT person on site at the registry for the last 15 years, so however long we've had 2 people. There's never been a day we haven't had at least one person there to answer questions and help us straight. And it's the lifeblood of the registry now, the technology. That's how it works. So, we have books, people can look at the indexes and stuff, in the registry, but everything's online now. I think that the importance of that can't be dismissed at all. Once again, I thank you, gentlemen. Glad to be back here for a little bit anyway.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Rich.
If there are any
Thank you,
questions,
Rich.
I'd be glad to.
Any questions of Rich?
Yeah, I didn't know if you want to do it now, but wait till the end, but,
Whatever you want to do, Commissioner.
yeah, that's fine.
My comments are
I'm gonna
for
pick
the
up a
end.
couple of things. I'm all over the place here, but I had some general comments too. Let's just
We'll
first,
do those at the end.
yeah, IT, you said would be 80% on the registry side,
At least.
20%.
I could,
What's your basis for that? How do you come up with that number?
based on the system that we're running up there, that has, we have thousands of customers, but we also get thousands and thousands of hits every week on the system.
All right.
So that's an ongoing thing. Plus, everything there runs on, the Brown Tech, which is our document management system. And those guys are integrally involved, making sure, everything is running, the reports get done, things like that. I think that our use, not only of Brown Tech, but, the PCs for the staff, the office staff and stuff, they have to control all that too. I mean, we have, 40 employees that people are 40 PCs, or more, 50. We have a couple. A lot of people have more than one.
I'll interject there. We have over 125 PCs, and that's one of the issues. And again, I would make this part of the record. Commissioner, the Norfolk County Operation Review Information Technology Report that was submitted. That was one issue, you have with Abrams is that he got the number wrong, and at least get how many computers there are. But why you would make a comment there's a bigger size, that was Exhibit 7 in that report, just to give you a small size. And these can't come right off. They're available to the county as well. You have a technology user comparison. Just, people that have electronic filing accounts. We have over 2,000 people. And, your computers, it could be anywhere from, probably 20 to 30. I wouldn't begin to guess like what you have. We also in Exhibit 7 looked at, for instance, we have a registry website that is interactive. People come in there every day to do research. And in Exhibit 7 on that chart, we have active users. We looked at they can pull out, it's available to everybody, website views. We had anywhere, 7,888 views on a day to the county's 864. So where they're coming up with 80-20, I'm not an IT person. It could even be 85 for the registry, 15 for the county, is because we have a bigger infrastructure footprint. We have more need for security. There's more switches. The system is just bigger because we got over 2,500 people that have e-filing accounts. We have another 2,000 people that have research accounts. We have how many thousands of people who are looking at the records online. So our website presence and our website is a user website. So that's where the comment, and again, it was touched upon in the report that the registry delivered to the 3 registers. That's where the whole notion of the IT infrastructure at the registry is a lot larger than the county infrastructure.
All right, just quick follow-up. I don't want to get into what I want. I had other comments about the whole report, but just to follow up. So
Sure.
a computer has a problem. I know it's listed in the Abrams report, and I know by being there, you have a tech person and an IT person. Using the school model, IT person doesn't do that. The tech person is one of, like, if I had a problem with my computer, I call up the tech person, and they come fix it. So the tech person would be addressed on his computers, not the IT person. So you can't really use that as evidence. That doesn't, I don't think that's substantial. The IT person, I thought, would be in charge of cyber attacks, monitoring your website, making sure the system's working, or do they do both? Just tell me if they do both.
We have an IT department.
Okay, so it's shared. It's shared.
The chief information officer
Yeah,
oversees everything.
Right.
But, so he has an assistant. Well, either one of them will go out.
So they
and
kind of
fix
do
the
that work.
computer. So
Okay.
it's,
All right, so
hands-on.
I need to understand that.
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely hands-on.
Okay, so he's doing hands-on plus the other job there.
Right.
Okay, that's all.
I think that's an important point. People have great titles, chief information
Yeah, well,
officer, dating back to Chuck Phelan.
Yeah.
Know what I say? Everyone has great titles over there. Chief cooks and bottle washers. There's all, they're doing everything. So Dan Caparata is skilled, maybe not as skilled, and we went through that as far as being a chief information officer, but hopefully someday he'll get there. But he is great at networking and still having an idea of the infrastructure, and as Rich says, the CIO. So the model that we've used is everyone, it's all hands on deck. So it's not they're an administrator. These people are hands-on with the technology.
That's an important point.
Well, one of the
Look,
things.
I don't understand is this.
Yeah.
It has been such a ballyhoo. And I want to recognize all the people out there that have sent all of us letters and emails and phone calls and other things. It's been great.
Right.
It's always great to have constituents. But I'm trying to understand and wrap my head around, we're not eliminating the person.
Right.
He's
right,
still going to be in the county.
Right.
He's still going to be in the county.
Right.
He may be located here or there. Right? So
That's
I want
fine.
to understand, you're advocating to keep him there.
Right.
And I want to understand why.
Right.
And I've gotten feedback, believe me, even in my own town. I heard from the Board of Assessors.
Uh-huh.
I heard from people that I know,
Right.
lawyers, you name it. They
Right.
don't want that person moved. Helping me today, telling me that they're also doing tech work and assisting. Okay, if they're over here, over there, that does make a little more sense.
Well,
That's a helpful
and
point.
one
So
thing I
the
will say-
title aside, that person's helping out with all sorts
yeah.
of things.
One thing that we've done, ever since Dan came on, and even before that, we had another woman in there working as an assistant with Jim.
Right.
Is that we'd have a sheet that lists basically all the jobs that are involved in the IT. And the thing is that we wanted both of them to have at least some ability to handle each job. You know, Dan came in and he didn't know that much about, the infrastructure, whatever, that Jim had a good handle on, but he's a network guy, he handles the PC desk and stuff. But, we asked each of them to, be familiar with each other's position. Like I said, there's somebody there every day. So, Jim's not there, Dan's able to handle the stuff that needs to be done and vice versa. So
Okay.
it's for
I didn't
us.
want to sidetrack you, but.
Yeah, no.
No, it's not. I'd like to have Marguerite, the
Because even
register
Mr.
of
Wheeler,
Christmas Trust and.
I had questions
Yeah.
for you and your
Oh,
benchmarks.
we're here
Okay,
all of
so-
that. You're not taking my
All right,
presentation.
I flagged the benchmark, but I didn't know we could ask you a question, so.
Feel
let me get
free.
back to you.
I would
No, I'll
like
get back
Marguerite to
you.
give her
Let
perspective.
Marguerite go.
But to the point that I would make as to why they should be over there. First of all, they've always been under the budget direction of the register. They've worked with the registry staff, registry users. That's how it's been since 2002. And I recognize, things can always be changed up. Well, sometimes change is good and other times it's a bad change. This is a bad change. Why? When we have issues, when things go down, we operate in real time. There are lawyers that are saying, hey, we need to get this stuff on record. So we have, and you can do that because I think we have a good management team. We have a good management system. As far as I'm concerned, not to sound like Bill Belichick, but everyone's got a job to do. And the IT people there, they know they better be timely and responsive and provide good customer service, and they do. And they do things that I'm not even aware of because I'm getting feedback. I'm seeing letters from assessors I don't even know who are writing letters on this saying, you can't believe the work that the IT staff does to make sure the registry records get to the towns because they use those records to set your tax rate. Now, maybe the people don't want the tax rates to go up, so maybe they don't want the records there, but it's a very important role, and the Department of Revenue has regulations that require the assessors to use this information. But Marguerite, do you have anything to offer? Or then, ask any questions, because that's the only way. The dialogue is so important on this issue, and I hope through dialogue we can put this issue to bed, to be honest with you.
All right.
So,
Well, I have other questions, but I want.
Well,
Yeah, and then I'd like to
go ahead.
Yeah.
go on, but I
yeah.
want to hold the questions till the end.
Right.
if we
And I
can.
would just like to say that, it worked very well for a long period of time. The registry CEO and the county CEO worked together with everybody on departments. I think that is a model that could be followed in the future as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Rich. Thank you.
Just to be clear, I still call Rich Kennedy with questions. So, I don't want to step over, repeat what everyone has said. I just want to talk a little bit about the report and maybe some of the limitations. I think it's the most important decision you're going to make for this decade is whether to keep this at the registry or eliminate it. We are technology. That's all I can say. There's nothing more or less. If you value the technology, you also value the work of our people. Some of the daily tasks that are done that our IT department accomplishes is the backup of everybody's work. You can't value an employee and not make sure the records and the data they created that day are not backed up. We have a very sophisticated infrastructure there. And with all due respect, I don't think it was captured in this report at all. I'm trying to temper my remarks by reminding myself of the remarks of the superintendent last week. And very thoughtfully, he said, I don't think it captures the feeling of our school or the core mission. And the report doesn't either. We're a recording office. That's it. And the mission of that recording office is the security, the accuracy, the safety, and the accessibility of the records. That's what we are. And when you've got someone, as Ed spoke about, in the driveway, waiting to move into a house, you want to make sure you can find those records.
It's so important. The lenders rely on it, the conveyancing attorneys, everyone relies on it. We have a very complicated infrastructure, and the report seems to compare the two. County has a website. We have a website. Again, Bill just mentioned it's about 600 hits a day on your website, and that's probably mostly from the registry, and about 6,000 on our site. That doesn't even capture the whole picture. A lot of those are casual users of our website that find the link and want to find out about our fee schedule. They want to get onto the research site. Your practitioners, your real estate attorneys all go to our research site directly. So that doesn't even capture the amount of users. The report somehow compares, it says somewhat blandly, that the county has infinite visions. And we have Brown Tech, the registry. Infinite Visions has about 15 users. And I'll just add that our former CIO, Jim Limby, argued for a long time that Infinite Visions should be expanded. That decision not to expand it rests in this address, not with the registry. It was urged to expand that. Brown Tech, as Rich mentioned, is our homegrown technology. Brown Tech is a particular company, but this is custom made for the registry. They've added enhancements, updates based on our needs and the priorities that the register has set. We also have an IBM server, which I don't think is even mentioned in this. This was purchased, actually the new one was purchased 2 years ago. There was an earlier version of the IBM server in place before that. This was over $150,000 purchase. It was researched by Jim Libby. It was spec'd out by Jim Libby. It was vetted extensively. Nancy Rockwell helped us with this purchase, looking at everything, making sure all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed. This is a workhorse. It's extremely unique. It carries all of our images and all of our data. So everything recorded every day is converted into an image, all the documents. All of our staff create the data. This workhorse links the image to the data. All of these images, all of these records are nothing if you can't find them. And that's what this does. This is such a unique feature that very few people know how to use it. The people coming in to repair it, Dan Cavarata said, don't you realize how old they are? And by old, he means my age. But it's very few people, kids coming out do not know how to serve this server and to maintain it. Everything, our entire infrastructure, if I can use the words of Dan Caprata, it is a living and breathing system. And you cannot keep it without taking the vitals every day. And the server, our firewalls, all emit messages. They're given commands, and they emit messages that have to be monitored every day. If I can leave something with you, it's the fact that this is not a crock pot. It's not set it and forget it. We can't build this enormous structure and then have someone over here, maybe scheduling tea times? We can't. There has to be a priority. And I don't mean to, Carl at the golf course certainly shouldn't wait for us either. We need it. We can't do this with less technology. And it's not a choice of, oh, the county has this, we have that. We need this technology. We can't survive without it. And it's the value of all our employees. In my own opinion, and I'm not an expert, this would be the most regressive decision you could make, is to take this position out of the on-site department. It's integral. We don't have a problem on the floor of the record hall without calling IT. And if I have to make a phone call to Brown Tech or an e-file user, IT is sitting there and we have the person on speakerphone. They have the language, but they're monitoring the system all the time. We just can't leave it there and hope that everything goes well.
Appreciate that, Marguerite. And as I said, I recognize, I agree with Commissioner Stady. If there were questions, I'd rather answer the questions. And I hope if you have seen the questions I put in this report, if you could answer some of those questions, it would be great. You don't have to, but one of the issues that was raised was the whole, you have Mr. Abrams saying that the Plymouth and Bristol registries don't have an IT department. And that report got changed, and it got changed because there were a couple of letters. John Buckley, who's a great register, Barry Amaral, they said, wait a minute, we do have IT departments. And why am I bringing this up? It's not just to take a shot at Mr. Abrams. He was wrong, and it was mistaken, and he changed up the report. And when he changes up the report, he says, oh, my benchmarking study found that there's an IT department. His benchmarking study didn't find that. It was the letters of those two registers who were irate that something was put out on the website that didn't make them look great. Why am I raising it? Because I don't know who chose, and maybe you could help me, who chose Bristol and Plymouth as the benchmark counties. No one contacted us, that's fine. But my point is, if the two benchmark counties that supposedly is the cornerstone of the Abrams report is Plymouth and Bristol, and they have on-site registry IT departments that are under the direction of the register, working with the registry users, if the benchmark counties have it, then that should be the end of it. We as Norfolk should deserve no less than to have the same thing as the benchmark counties that were chosen. And I don't know by who, but if they have IT departments, then somehow we get compared to Middlesex South, and I think we compare quite favorably to Middlesex South. We're tremendously busy, and now we find out they have a pretty vibrant IT department. In addition to the state registries, have the Secretary of State provides services and costs that aren't in the costs. So that would be a point. But I'm here to answer questions, and if you have any responses to the questions I have, that was one of them, was what are we going to do with those letters from the registers in Bristol and Plymouth? Because I think that's a pretty important part of this whole discussion.
Are you done with your presentation?
Sure. I'd like to listen to what you have to say. I might say one more thing after listening to you, but
Well, I'm going to open this up to the commissioners, but the purpose, and I stated at the beginning, and this is the way we're trying to do it. We're trying to take all of this in and put it in the vat, so to speak, and see what comes out the other side. You're saying that in your report, you have some questions that you want to answer. I don't know when my fellow commissioners got this report, but I got mine at 5:16 last night. I got it here as quickly as I could, which is around 7 a.m. this morning. So we're not going to answer any questions today that are specific because we haven't with anyone else. I mean, we're here to listen to what you're saying. I have some ideas. I don't know if my fellow commissioners do. I'll be surprised if they don't. But I, in other words, based on what you say, what I say, it's not, I don't feel that today's meeting should be structured that way, but I'm easy, anything goes. My questions of you is going to be in a statement today, but it was written before today. It isn't that I haven't learned something new, but I mean, right up till Saturday this week, I was meeting with people that tried to open doors for me. Whether they were successful, I don't know. But it is overwhelming as a layman to get into all this technical area. I'll get into other areas with you that I can hold my own, but it's I have to go to people and ask them. Now, we can question everybody about where we go. I know there was some veiled questions about how we bid this in the beginning and who responded, et cetera, et cetera. We had 3 people bid it. A company from Cincinnati, the Collins Center at UMass, and the Abrahams Group. We interviewed 2. We did not interview the group from Cincinnati. I think at the time, the committee felt it would be overwhelming just getting them tuned into counties in Massachusetts, stuff like that. We went from there. If we selected, I don't know, I mean, the greatest company in the world, who knows who the greatest company in the world is? I'm sure some people would find something wrong with it. We have had people come to us before they ever read this, saying they said, this is in the report. Well, I don't see it. And it's been very difficult, but I don't, I'm going to open up to the commissioners and myself, and then we'll go from there. But if you think I'm going to answer a question that is proposed to me last night, you're wrong. That's all I'm going to say right now, but I'll open it up. Go ahead, commissioners, or Commissioner Stady.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, first, thank you for your presentations, all of you, and providing some information for us, because that's always helpful. I did get your information late last night, and I have to say I didn't have a chance to read it as carefully as I wanted to. I did the best I could, given the fact I had to go to the dentist this morning, but that's neither here nor there. I do want to recognize that you did, in the format that we had been following, commented on things you agree with the report and things you don't agree. And I appreciate that, because it seems like what we've heard, unfortunately, the large volume has been disagreements with the report. And I think we have to stress a couple of things. It's only a recommendation. And I think, as you pointed out, Marguerite, quite well, we had a disagreement last week with the Aggie school. And there was an issue of the lunch program, I think. And there was another issue, and they basically said, here's the report, but we don't agree with it. Here's why. And I think we're all in the same ballgame here. I think we're losing sight of that. Now, I've been getting some letters that, frankly, I'm disappointed in. Frankly, are very, very unpleasant. Some of the letters came in saying basically some things about us when it got very personal. There's no need for that. There's absolutely no need for that. We're all here, all of us in this room, and you being a former commissioner, to advance the best interests of the county. And whatever decision we make, we want to make sure we're doing the best for the county. So I want to make sure I got that on the record. We're here to do the best we can. Each of us are sworn an oath. Each of us are here, elected by the people, to do the best we can. And frankly, what I keep hearing, and I've heard it, I've read it, and I've seen it. No one has said, I'm an expert in IT. I'm not. You admitted you haven't. Other people, no one's been an expert. So I have some suggestions on that. But I'm going with what the consultant said, my own experience, and the documentation. So that aside, I want to put IT aside. I want to. And in the vein of our chair, I want to I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Mr. Registrar, I'm not. I would like you to perhaps address some of these things either now or perhaps later, because the consultant does a job looking at other things. I mean, we got so focused on the IT position, but there's a lot in here, a lot to digest. So when you have a chance, and again, I'm not trying to put everybody on the spot. I heard one comment on the benchmark. Thank you for addressing that. Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Right, thank you. So that's been addressed. I appreciate that. I may agree or disagree later, but I appreciate your comment about that. There were three other things that jumped at me outside of the IT. The consultant talks about the registry of deeds should be spending down the deeds excise to a more manageable number. Again, I'm not looking for an instant answer, but I'd love to see that addressed. I didn't see it. And again, it may be in here. It could be. Again, I only looked at this briefly after the dentist, but if it isn't, we should have an answer on that. I would appreciate that. I would. Another comment. This is, I thought, pretty serious. The consultant said the planning room should be eliminated and made into a scanning position. It's almost like a altering of a position or altering of an operation. That's an operational thing. I didn't hear anything about that from anybody. And if you did, I apologize. But I didn't see any letters, any comments, or any feedback. I think you need to address that. And then third, surprisingly, the consultant talks about document verification. And they said currently the verification period is 6 to 8 weeks. Now, I know the volume is tremendous. I'll say personally, as a zoning attorney, I think you do a great job. I do, as a zoning attorney. I don't usually have to wait. And the documents get recorded properly. People are very courteous over there. Terrific job. But the consultant said 6 to 8 weeks and felt that that was perhaps something that you could address. So those are, I mean, get IT, let's put it in a box over here for a minute. There's a lot of other things in this report. that I think you can look at, and maybe again, you got a great job. Your department's great. Make it better. Make it better. That's what we're trying to do. Trying to make it better. So if you disagree, you're not disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with the report. I'm not going to take it personal. I'm just saying, what are your thoughts on that? And I see Richie had a hand up. I'm sorry.
Just addressing the
Through
backlog.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Just addressing that backlog.
Yeah.
At the time they looked at the instruments and stuff, it was
Yeah.
in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
And we had a lot of staff that were working from home, whatever. It just wasn't flowing the way we wanted it to.
Okay.
So, because the people need to usually have the documents in front of them to match it. So it had to be scanned and whatever.
Right.
So I would say right now, that deficit is down to 3 to 4 weeks maybe. That's our standard thing.
It's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I record something and I got to do it, it takes about a month.
It
No
took-
special
it took-
privileges,
It took about
takes about a month, right?
It took a while to get it
Okay.
back because we really couldn't hit that hard until we got everybody back in
Okay.
the office.
So that's a good point.
You know,
So some of this was done during the pandemic. You're right. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I do want to add to that,
Mhm.
we've been trying to add personnel
Mhm.
since June. We brought someone on. It took weeks to add that person on.
Sure.
And also,
I'm not here to
Yeah.
talk about.
Well, I
no,
figured-
I'm not.
I read your mind before you said anything, Commissioner, but it is a
I'm not gonna
point.
overrule
It is a
because I
point.
usually talk about everything.
I know, I understand, but
I'm trying to stay
it's a
out of
fact-
budget issues today.
I know, but it's easy to criticize these backlogs, but when entry-level union positions were brought over here, they weren't filled. And I get that. It's not gonna be productive. I know you.
I'm the chair and I don't.
I know. What I would like to say is the matter, we don't have a plan room department or anything else like that if we don't have a vibrant and robust IT department as has been over there. So we can get into all that and I'll certainly answer that. But if it's like looking at a recommendation, but if you make the wrong decision here, and it is a big decision, that other stuff is really meaningless, no disrespect. But we'll address it.
Oh, it's in the
It's the IT.
It is in there.
There's a lot of things in that report. He missed the boat on the IT. And with all due respect, there is in my handout a report from IntraSystems, who has worked both for the county and for the registry. They are our experts. And they were pretty clear. Keep the registry's done a good job, done a great job considering the pandemic. And he looked at the Abraham study. He had questions like, well, they didn't even look at cybersecurity. So you do have an expert who has their feet in both camps. They've worked for the county and worked for the registry. And that report was pretty clear. Keep the IT department at the registry. If you want to expand it and all that, I don't know where you're going. I can't, I'll be willing to listen to everybody. All I'm saying is we've had registry IT staff in that budget. We've had IT registry staff working for me. We've had IT registry staff working with the registry workers every day. That's the whole ballgame as far as I'm concerned. This other stuff, yeah, we'll certainly answer it, but that's the crucial issue. And that's why, that's why people who use the registry are exercised a little bit at this point.
All right. I would just say, as I said before, thank you to you and the people listening and those who sent us comments. It was good to get feedback. It's always good to listen and get ideas. I would say the criteria, for me personally, when it comes to judging the IT thing, would be based on 3 things. How does the movement of the IT into consolidation as recommended affect the whole operation and service? And is there a gain to the county in doing this? And is there an adverse effect to the registry in doing it? Those are the key things we have to look at. Certainly what your testimony is and what our feedback is that you don't want us to do it because this would have an adverse effect on your operations. I'm trying to get a better understanding of that and appreciation. I've got more documents to read. I have not read them all. It seems like every time I have one, there's another one coming in, and there's letters and emails, and the stress is always, there to kind of keep it the way it is, understand it. The point where, I know you mentioned that system. I don't know if they were entirely neutral, and I'm being polite here. I don't know entirely if they were, say, an independent person. I'm at the point where if we can't make a qualified, intelligent decision, I would almost want to say that maybe that we get an independent study done by someone who is an IT person. Have an independent study. I am not an IT expert. You know, I still turn to my kid when I have to get my computer straightened out. I'm pretty good, but I'm not a perfect person at it. But perhaps a reasonable compromise, something we did with the Aggie school, to look at some things we want to do there. If we can find some money, perhaps a small amount, get an independent study done. Independent, okay, outside of the Abraham, because the Abraham report even said it, as you noted. I think they said, we're not IT experts. Didn't they say that? Am I right? I think you noted that in your comments. You said they're not IT experts. Okay, fine. So they're not IT experts. I'm not an expert. I'm being asked to make a decision on something that is very important. I'd feel a little better if I had someone else telling me, here, we looked at it independently, and here's our recommendation. That's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman. There might be a way out of the woods here, because otherwise I think we're going to be going in circles. Otherwise, I will vote anything else, and obviously I'll be available to any comments you wish. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay.
Unless Mr. Collins has something.
Commissioner Collins, do you have anything to say right now? Or anytime?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
Other than what I said at the very beginning, is this is just a process. We're trying to streamline where we can. And we don't want to wreck things that are working great, but at the same time, there's no problem with looking at something new. Just because we've done something one way for a long time doesn't mean it can't be changed for the better. It really can't. I'm not saying change for change's sake, but it's nice to look at something to see if we can make a better product. But that's all I have for right now.
He's got a smile. Watch out.
No, I respect what's being said. I may disagree with it because, to single out the registry and yeah, I'm all for looking at change.
Well,
And you
hold
wanna-
on. No. Before you continue, we're not singling out the registry. We're not singling out any individual at the registry. And I said this to the maintenance department because it came back then. We're not picking on any one department. This was a countywide evaluation. And we're taking the information in, but we're not singling out anyone at the registry.
And I appreciate what Commissioner Stady said, if there's going to be another study in this. Here's one of the issues that I wrestle with as a manager every day. We have a registry chief information officer over there who's temporary. And whether there's an agreement or disagreement, I have to say this. A temporary designation does not do anything to attract qualified IT people or retain them. And that's my concern, is that the longer this goes, I mean, if you're going to study it, then at least make the person permanent. But think about it. I don't expect anything done today. But the fact is that decision was made before the Abrahams report ever came out. The Abrahams report was going to be out in 2 weeks back then. I don't want to rehash it, but a decision invoking the Abrahams report has put somebody temporary when we had a budgeted position. And again, it's all one and the same. I advocate for all my employees. I got to advocate for that's a concern I have, is that you have somebody temporary. It's just not a great status.
That is the subject of a lawsuit. And I had this when I was talking about personnel. And that's somewhat what I was talking about. I don't want to talk about it. It doesn't mean that it won't be talked about, because it will be.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But-
Yeah.
All right. I've taken everything that's come across my desk and read it. I'm certainly willing to tell you that I'm not an expert on IT, but this never started as an IT study in the registry. This whole idea, which was fomented by several members of the advisory board and the former board chaired by Franny O'Brien, decided to go forward. Former director Mike Mullins was involved. We went forward. Now, if it took 6 or 8 weeks more than originally promised, every week I'd talk about it here, and I'd say, if we say it's a month, it's going to be 5 weeks. Over here, we're held to certain standards. Then we get over here and we're not held by those standards. So I do have a statement based on my weeks of listening to all of these, the different aspects of this. And I'm going to make it. I'm going to ask us to take all this in, and then I hope we can get back to everyone in a timely, meaningful way. This is serious business. You might as well throw this out the window if you're going to waste the money, which we're going to talk about. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. We during the 2020 campaign, it came to my attention that our website was woefully bad. Talking about the commissioners now. We're getting a new website. We went out and got a new vendor. Other things, a new set of eyes, as I say it, but other people said, did you ever look at this? Did you ever think of this? Well, look, I'm old school too, and I've been around also. And I always tell people I started not my work career, but I started working in the Registry of Deeds where I only worked there for 14 months or 15 months back in 69 or 70 and 71. But I'm not opposed to other people giving their opinion or other sets of eyes looking at things. And boy, we are unique. We're unique that we're still staying as a county. We're unique that we have a school. Doesn't mean we're not happy with the people or with how it works, but it doesn't hurt to have a look at it. Believe me, it doesn't. And things come slow and change comes slow. I didn't come from 30 years in another organization where change came easy, and it was a public entity, as you know. But I agreed with the study. I voted for it. We paid for it, and we're going to use it. Having said all that, there's a few things I want to get on the record here today. I want to thank you, Registrar O'Donnell. I want to thank Marguerite, Ed, and Richard for coming here. But there's a few points I want to make. I don't want to discuss them later. We can discuss them after today, but I'll make them available to everyone. The first point I want to make is the Abrahams Group report you have claimed, which I believe is a false claim. Don't have to write it down. I'll give it to you. Would eliminate registry IT. You have said the Abrahams Group recommended that on-site permanent registry CIO officer be eliminated. Further, Mr. Abrahams has also recommended the on-site registry IT technology department that has for decades worked at the registry and with the registry staff, registry users in Norfolk County municipalities also be eliminated from the Registry of Deeds. I read these claims 7 times. Watched one on an interview on Quincy Access Television on November 19th, 2021. And an email dated November 22nd, 2021, another email dated November 12th, one dated October 29th, and one dated October 15th. I read it in a letter to fellow attorneys, and I read it in widely publicized and reprinted periodicals throughout Norfolk County. I went back. I kept looking for the word eliminate. I know what it means. I know what you were meaning or trying to say. I will look, and I'm going to quote from the report. We recommend that the departments be merged based on the evidences above, and there is no operational reason to have 2 departments. These are his words. We recommend that the single department fall under the county commissioners since they are the ones responsible for the whole county. The county should determine the best administrative structure for the operation, possibly through a security or other IT audit, and consolidate the departments. Nowhere is the word elimination used. Nowhere does the report say that the IT staff should not be physically present at the Registry of Deeds. Nowhere. This recommendation is jurisdiction, yet the registry has chosen to spend more than 3 months attacking a false and highly misleading premise. Second claim, the Abrahams Group never visited the registry. You have said in your November 12th missive, one flagrant flaw is that Mark Abrahams, nor anyone from his team, came to visit the Registry of Deeds as part of this study. You have made these claims through multiple letters, press appearances, and periodicals, insinuating that the report was produced in a vacuum. Nowhere in your letters do you acknowledge that. The Norfolk County Registry of Deeds was closed to the public during the initial data gathering phase of this study, not reopening to the public until June 7th, 2021. On March 4th, 2021, 46 job and analysis questionnaires were sent to the workers of the registry, and only 16 returned those vital documents. This is the lowest participation rate in the entirety of the Abrahams Group in all of the surveys they have ever done. On December 9th, 2020 and April 9th, 2021, there were 30 emails back and forth between the Abrahams Group and the Registry of Deeds. including now retired First Assistant Richard Kennedy, who the register deprived for not originally being left out of the communications. The Abrahams Group communicated with Registry of Deeds personnel, including the register, more than 60 times between July 14th, 2021 and October 4th, 2021. Yet the register's voluminous letters would lead you to believe that the Abrahams Group effort was undertaken in a vacuum. In addition, every single week, the Registry of Deeds dials in or attends and listens to the county commissioners' meetings, where regular updates about the process and this operation analysis were furnished at every meeting. Number 3, the Abrahams Group study costs and qualifications. Register O'Donnell, you have erroneously reported in a letter dated October 29, 2021, that the Abrahams Group report cost $175,000. As you well know, in September 2020, the county contracted with the Abrahams Group to complete a comprehensive review of all financial operations, staffing, and regional service areas of our organization. They were chosen after an open and transparent bidding process. The thorough review cost $78,800 in total. $75,000 originally awarded with an additional amendment of $3,800, not $175,000 as erroneously reported in your letter, which was reprinted many times in periodicals across the county. This effort is the first of its kind. No county in Massachusetts have ever attempted such an honest and ambitious review of their operations, and therefore no benchmark or expert in county auditing. There is no benchmark or expert in county auditing. Excuse me. In a letter dated October 29, 2021 registry, you described the process as flawed and cast doubt upon the qualifications of the Abrahams Group ability to undertake a study. We must note that Mark D. Abrahams, CPA, started the Abrahams Group 30 years ago. He previously served as a financial coordinator for the city of Worcester, Mass., assistant to the Massachusetts State Comptroller, chief of the Compliance Bureau for the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, and partner in charge of KPMG, Pete Mawick's Boston office, and the principal in their government consulting group. His firm worked with dozens of communities across the Commonwealth, including Norfolk County communities of Braintree, Holbrook, Millis, and Walpole. Number 5, Registrar O'Donnell, in a letter dated again on November 12, 2021, you decried cybersecurity not being part of the Abrahams Group scope. Indeed, in the dozen letters going back to the summer of 2021, you have been making alarmist statements about cybersecurity and the county's preparedness to withstand an attack. What you have not said is the Abrahams Group report recommends exactly what you've been demanding: additional, independent, comprehensive security reviews. Let me quote it to you. The county should determine the best administration structure for the operation, possibly with a security or other IT audit, and consolidate the departments. I think this commission would welcome a full-fledged technology audit that would examine our firewalls and security projections and explore consolidated operations to a greater extent. Registrar O'Donnell, as you well know, nowhere in the Abrahams IT recommendation is the word eliminate used. However, you persist in intentionally mischaracterizing the report in several periodicals and letters produced and distributed by your office in the last few months. As of Saturday, when you gave us your presentation attaching the individuals who have signed this petition, I may add that the majority of those individuals do not live in Norfolk County, your petition was collected on the website charge.org. Within, you once again said, Mr. Abrahams' troubling conclusion to eliminate the Norfolk Registry IT department and the dangerous negative impacts of that recommendation. Unfortunately, misleading claims have hampered the honest and open vetting process of this report. We as county commissioners take our responsibility to the citizens of this county very seriously. Thank you for your presentation today. We will take everything under advisement. As we have not heard from all departments, this is what I have said since last fall, an ongoing project. And until it is completed and culminated, which I originally hoped would be in the 2023 budget, I'm going to continue to try to wade through all this. I don't have any other comment.
Well,
Thank you.
well, I certainly must respond. We came over here,
I
there was
really-
supposed to be a dialogue, and you people are supposed to be like umpires, calling the balls and strikes on this report, fairly evaluating, being impartial. Didn't sound like anything
All right.
impartial.
I'm not,
But no, you can't say that because you made, for instance, consolidation and elimination. Consolidation is a euphemism for elimination.
I
There
don't
will
know
not
that.
be-
Now, wait a minute.
There will not be an on-site registry, IT department, or IT staff that works with the register, that works with registry
Doesn't say
staff.
that.
It says it's going to be over here, doesn't it?
The determination has not been made.
Well,
I'm gonna,
well, it's
I'm gonna- I don't-
good. That's
exactly
dialogue.
what
I
I
could
don't
at least
understand.
address that.
but I have to.
If I could interject politely, that was the thing that troubled me and tried to read through it. I don't think, though, anyone's made the decision. You're jumping in a little bit, saying
Same.
respectfully. Because if we, and I'm not saying for or against this position, so bear with me. My mind is open. But I'm trying to understand and wrap around my head, if we consolidate and we say to that person, okay, you now report to us, but you're going to go over to the registry and be there. Yeah, is that, and don't, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's an elimination. It's like a reorganization.
Well,
And maybe it could-
it sounds like when a small company buys out someone and they're consolidating, and then next thing you know, the workers are on the unemployment line. As far as we're concerned,
Okay.
to change it up and have someone over here, and they're gonna, that second layer of, that they're gonna walk over to the registry building or deal with us, that's just not what we've
Okay,
had.
more point. Help me on this.
Yes.
Help me on this. Help me. Help yourself. You keep talking about benchmarking, and Mr. Wheeler mentioned that, and they compared Middlesex and another county. They didn't mention Plymouth and, forgive me, what's the other one? Bristol. I didn't see that in there. And yet you're stating something from Barry Emerald and, what's it, Register in Plymouth, our friend.
John Buckley.
John Buckley, thank you. My brain's beat. Are you saying that they unequivocally have an IT person just for them?
The attachment, they wrote it in the letter to you.
My question-
Yes, they do.
Why?
I mean, based on the
All right.
letter.
Then I will say honestly too, we should call a spade a spade. I found that disparaging that we didn't get that in the advance report. That was something I felt, that information would have been helpful to complete the picture, to get that. That would have been good. We didn't get that. We got Middlesex, we got Dukes County, we got all, but we didn't get the Plymouth and the Bristol. Why we didn't get it, I don't know. How come we didn't get it? I can only reason, but
We can ask.
I mean, it would be great to get that. I personally would like to get that. Not that I don't trust you, and I do, but I'm saying, we're getting, no, it's in your comment to us. Again, I'm looking at this morning, Billy. It just says, Mr. Buckley has an IT person, but I didn't get that from the Abraham's report.
No, you didn't, because
That's what I'm saying.
the Abraham's report said there was no IT department. But then when Register Buckley, that's Exhibit 1 to what was attached, and
Mm-hmm.
Exhibit 2 is Barry Emerald, when they saw that report that got posted on the website on September 22nd,
Okay.
which was completely wrong, the facts were wrong,
Okay.
they were upset. So they wrote letters, the letters, full letters are there, and they should, in fact, they'd probably be in the record because, this is all going to be part of the record.
Mhm.
They said, look, we have an IT department.
Okay.
So the Abrams report was wrong to write that. Then later, when they issued a report on October 6th, they corrected it, said, oh, there's an IT staff. And you don't have to take my word. And a lot of this seems to be personal. I'm advocating. People may not like the advocation. I'm advocating on behalf of the people that use the registry. That, I can't make the Real Estate Bar Association write letters. They're writing letters. This isn't about me. It's about the registry users and whether they are lawyers, title examiners, the general public. Anyone that owns a home has to rely on these records. So that's why it's important to have an IT department on site. If we're going to, and I came over here to have a dialogue, not get attacked. But I'll tell you, as
I'm
far
not
as,
gonna attack
well,
you.
no, but I want to address it. I wrote in a letter, yes, you're right, I wrote in a letter and it was there, and I hope Commissioner Shea pays attention to what was said. It said that there was a report in a local newspaper that this paid consultant engaged and hired by the Norfolk County Commissioners since September of 2020 was paid $175,000. So
You knew they
Check-
were never paid $175.
how would I know?
Okay, all
There-
right, all right,
and-
all right.
and-
Because if you say you don't monitor these meetings, I feel you do. You know everything. That's good. That's part of
I don't, I wouldn't,
your
I
good
wouldn't say,
quality.
I'm making a point that,
You think you missing certain things and then you
that,
cling to other things. When we put one word out in a public notice where we get beseeched by agencies, that this is wrong, that's wrong, and you're gonna tell me you missed the price by
You-
$100,000?
you-
I clearly, and
I'm
you were
not
told
only-
afterwards, after wherever this was reported,
I'm
didn't
told,
see-
I mean, I
I
don't
pulled
know how
everything I
you know
could.
how many times I spoke to Mr. Abrams. Obviously, you're defending him and,
Well,
Commissioner.
listen,
Shea-
I think his reputation should be defended, but I'm not defending him.
Well,
He got paid for a job. He's a big boy.
And with all due respect, I thought that's what
But
this
it's the
process was.
company from,
If we say anything negative about the study,
no,
it is taken as an attack
No.
on this board. It's
No,
not. It is trying,
Yeah.
well,
You're saying I'm defending Mr. Abrams, you know.
If I could.
there was a, well,
Again, being partial, we had John McGowan of the maintenance department who had severe issues with the report. We took it and we had, he's right here, member of the Aggie administration.
Last week, of
Well,
course.
last week, the poor rookie's getting burnt in, but we had comments that they didn't agree. So to say that isn't quite fair. And I commend you as an attorney for advocating on behalf of what you want. I understand. I think you may have stretched it a little bit, William, a little bit, because when you say elimination, I kept looking in that report. And I really did. I kept saying, where did we say we're eliminating it? And I was getting letters from my own town. Don't eliminate that position.
you are-
But they boiled it down. No one is saying that. We're looking to reorganize it. And whether or not we organize it or not, that may not be a good move. Maybe it won't be a good move. Okay? But numbers, as Commissioner Shea said, did pop up. There was an email sent to me about you paid this person almost $200,000, and we didn't do that. So I mean, it's accumulation of little errors like that. I don't think there's malice involved. I'm not saying that. I'm not. Okay? I want to take it at face value that you're all trying to do the best you can in this job. Okay? We are. But I mean, I can't, you probably don't even know. I mentioned to you at the Christmas party politely. I said, I got a letter from so-and-so. You didn't even know who I was even talking to. So obviously people are, but when you put out those letters from the register and you advocate, well, this is wrong or that's wrong, whatever it is, people read that. People are reading
and I'm
it.
going to continue to do it because the effect
Okay.
is to eliminate an on-site registry IT person who is in the registry's budget, under the direct control of the register, under the working with the registry staff, with people like you heard, Rich Kenny in there.
Great
The-
person. But could I ask you?
You're taking a.
Could I ask you, stick to the facts then, if I could
Well,
do that. In the spirit of the
That's the
season.
effect. Well, we have a
Stick to the
disagreement
facts.
on the effects of
Because if
it.
you're putting out misinformation, you're doing a disservice
Well,
to
I'm not,
yourself.
as far as
and
I'm
to the county.
concerned, I'm not putting out misinformation.
Well-
And one of the one of the misinformations, that registry building
Yeah.
was open and operational, correct?
Yes.
You came by when D'Angelo's got an award.
Yes.
Our staff's working hard through the pandemic.
I know that.
We had vendors. I can show you the list of the vendors that came in. Those maintenance guys did a great job
Yeah.
keeping the building open, as did the registry employees. That building, anyone could have come in and taken a tour, or observed observations.
Okay.
And, and again, that goes back throughout the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, that building was used to do Moderna shots. So the fact that you could say the building was closed, that building we were open and operational every day. Vendors came in every day. And as a matter of fact, Moderna shots were given, over 200 people there. So believe me, you may not think of it as a flaw. Reasonable people can disagree. I believe the person should have come by to
Okay,
make
and as I
observations.
said earlier,
And I don't appreciate
goes-
being attacked by pointing that out, saying, oh, the registry building was closed, because
If I
people were
came
coming
across
in.
attacking you, I apologize.
You haven't,
The credibility of the report.
I'm trying to get my comments to the
But the
person that
credibility
made it.
of this report on this particular department is an issue for me because I don't see Plymouth, I don't see Bristol. And let's face it, when we started talking about ARPA, gentlemen, we wanted to team up with those counties to move, advance forward in the opera. And we looked at them as equal to us, if you will, and collegially got some great ideas. Why the heck are they not in the report? That's silliness. So again, I don't want to, it's almost 3. We got a long day ahead of us. We got another meeting to go to. I would just like to see as a follow-up politely, respectfully. And I know they're minor, they may be minor to you, but there were some things in the report that have not been addressed. Okay, so if you can address those, the planning room and things like that, as I noted, I'll be glad to follow up. They're part of the report. They should be looked at. I think it's only fair. Let's do our homework here. And secondly, I'd like to ask John Cronin, or through the chair, of course, with the chair's permission, that we get additional feedback from those counties when you can. That's all. I want something from our consultant or anybody else who says, here's what they have. I'm sorry. And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Cronin's going to stand up.
Just briefly to your point, Mr. Commissioner Stady, both Plymouth and Bristol were approached by Mr. Abrahams. They declined to cooperate.
Oh,
Mr. Abrahams was able to collect information through administrative staff assigned to both counties.
they declined to, what did you say?
Cooperate,
Oh, that's strange.
share information.
Weird.
And how do you know that, John? You talked to these registers?
I spoke to Mr. Abrahams.
So Mr. Abraham said that John Buckley didn't cooperate.
He already said that.
Okay.
Wow. Well, that's disappointing, but that's something we kind of had to overcome that.
Well,
All right. Okay.
As someone who,
But I think it's it would be helpful to complete the picture. All right, I don't want to beat the dead horse, so. Otherwise, I'd be happy. I think we could go through some of your points here and get back to you, as you said, but we'd like to see, as Commissioner Collins suggested too, some further work as well.
well, having been attacked myself, I will not stand, and I will want to point out that Exhibit 1 dated October 1st, 2021 was a letter to Mr. Shea from Register Buckley, who I've always found to be very honorable.
Mhm.
And he puts, I
Who
request,
says that we don't find Register Buckley honorable? We find him very honorable.
okay, well, I'm just pointing out, I request that you strike that inaccurate language from your now public document. It was unprofessional for your vendor to include an unverified negative comment about our operation without having a conversation with me or with my assistant register. I just feel, I think John Buckley's a great guy, and I'm not going to stand here, with all due respect to the county director, attacking someone who I find to be honorable, and I'd say the same thing about Barry Emerald.
That was October 1st, right?
It's
All right, so
in there. And then
Okay, I
if
got
you look at Exhibit
Was there
2,
one from Mr. Amaral?
Exhibit 2, if you go to the next page, that's Exhibit 2, I would defend,
Yeah, we got those letters and they went right to Mr.
Okay.
Abraham.
okay,
all right,
so, again, I'm, some of this information, it's just shocking. I don't know. All I could say is, I don't know, Mr. Shea, how you know how many conversations I had with Mr. Abrams, because I know how many conversations I had with Mr. Abrams. And the first
I
conversation
didn't
I
say it
had,
for all you, but
the first
I stand by
conversation
my
was I
statement,
had
and
after
that's
that
it.
chief information officer that wasn't hired. So he made a recommendation to you people without even talking to the
I'm
register.
not going to talk about the chief information officer.
Well, because
Because it's
you're
a
great
matter
at
of
throwing
lawsuit.
out stuff,
And I
but
was
you don't
told
want to
not
hear
to
any
talk- I
rebuttal.
was told not to talk about it.
Right, but
By
Mr. Abrams never talked to me or anyone else at the registry before he made a recommendation, evidently, for you not to fill the registry chief information officer job. He never spoke to me.
No.
And I think County Director Cronin will probably confirm that, because he, when he first started, was it not right, John? He hadn't talked to either Treasurer Bellotti or myself?
He was planning to speak to both of you. and
Planning,
Eventually, did.
yeah.
That's correct.
Right. He started in September of 2020, and we put those papers over for a June 30th, 2021 vote. So he hadn't spoken in a long time. And the decision was made not to fill the chief information officer. And we were left without somebody that was a key person to try to run a business, which incidentally.
Isn't that person working, Commissioner Director? Commissioner. That's a Freudian slip, but I'm not, isn't that person working? I haven't met him. I may sign his
Hey,
payroll, but I may sign his
you know-
blue paper, but I haven't met him.
If you want to sign them over as permanent, I'll bring the blue paper
Me,
over.
you're gonna hold us captured?
I'm not holding capture. I'm just saying,
All right, that's it.
certainly.
This
welcome
part
to
of
be-
today's agenda is
Not yet.
open. Over, not, okay, Commissioner.
Okay, so, all right. We're just trying to make it better, Cal. That's all we're trying to do. And Bill, I know that your nature is to argue in litigation. You're a fabulous attorney. I get it. And you always have presented on this issue that you're being attacked. And we're not trying to attack you. We're just trying to get a better county. That's all we're trying to do.
Fair enough.
And I have to say, Bill, if there's misinformation, it's coming from you. It's coming from you and it's coming from your department. And it's been everywhere. You're writing letters to all these people. You're putting stuff in the papers. None of it's true. Well, I take it back. Some of it's true, but it's twisted and it's not factual. And you just now, you laid out how the vote went for the CIO. And I thought it was going to go down this road. I drafted something up and I didn't know. I didn't know if it was going to go down this road, but it did. You brought it down the road when you brought it up. It said that we laid the cybersecurity of the registry bare. You kind of brought it up just then. And I didn't want to go down it, but you talk about misinformation, but it's the misinformation is coming from you and your staff. And I think it's important. I'm going to read this. I think it's important because we're just trying to do the right job. And we want to work with the registry and do the right job. We want to do the right thing. If having a CIO over there full-time, if that's the right thing to do, that's what we'll do. If having the CIO, the same CIO, oversee the county administration and the registry, that's what we'll do if it's the right thing to do. You know me well. I can barely turn on a phone. So I defer to the experts in this stuff. But you really rattled a lot of people and you rattled your saber to a lot of people when you sent out your different communications, and it was wrong. And so I'm going to read this statement. I drafted it up yesterday. So throughout the summer months, the citizens in Norfolk County received numerous communications from Registrar O'Donnell relative to the Chief Information Officer position within the Registry of Deeds. These communications, like the one dated August 4, 2021, misled readers to believe the Registry of Deeds was laid bare to cyber attack and catastrophic failure without adequate technology staff. This was not true. The former registered chief information officer retired effective June 30th, 2021. During his exit interview, he informed the county human resource officer he expected to engage in a 4-month post-retirement service contract to help assist the registry technology department's transition to a new CIO. This type of post-retirement contract is precisely the reason for such arrangements. It allows for the orderly transition of institutional knowledge and bridges the employment gaps which inevitably emerge with retirements and job vacancies. The commissioners fully and publicly supported this approach to the registry. Despite the claimed urgent needs of the position, the registrar chose to wait months before requesting a post-retirement contract for the individual. The registry has a seasoned technology staff network administrator with over 7 years of experience in the Registry of Deeds and over 20 years of technology experience. He has managed multiple firewalls, rules, and policies, and implemented and actively trained employees on cybersecurity matters. The registrar failed to enlist this highly qualified individual to serve as an interim chief information officer. Instead, he declared the staff member as not ready, and he continued his letter campaign. The commissioners voted to hire the candidate chosen by the register as a temporary full-time employee on July 21st at the registrar's requested rate of pay of $129,067 per year. Notwithstanding the registrar's protestations to the contrary, the CIO candidate fully understood the benefits he was being offered as they were explained to him by the county human resource officer. He wished to accept the position on the terms offered by the commissioners. The blue paper didn't come. The blue paper didn't come over. 2 weeks later, on August 4th, you again demanded personnel action on your chosen candidate before the commissioners. This meaningless protest of administrative matters before the commissioners delayed the hiring of the registrar's candidate by several weeks. Now, this matter is a subject of litigation brought forth by the register who has chosen to sue the county. In a letter to the public dated 9/21/21, the register reiterated his belief this issue was far from resolved. Given the register's pending litigation, it seems prudent to keep our discussion today centered on the IT departments as a whole and not individuals. Thank you.
Well, it seems like, I respect your right to come after me and attack me. I disagree with it. And I guess I would say that it's too bad about the lawsuit, but if that lawsuit wasn't filed, there'd be no registry chief information officer working over there. And I would just like to see, if we're all trying to make things better, my position is that the registry was working well with an on-site IT department. And it worked well when Chuck Phelan was here, when Jim Limby was here. If you want to have them oversee things over here, that's fine. But I don't think it helps the county or helps the registry not to have an on-site registry IT department. And we have disagreements on that. And I'm going to keep advocating for that. And again, I stand by that. And we say we want to try to resolve this thing. It could have been easily resolved, and again, I didn't bring up the lawsuit, Peter. That was, Commissioner Shea wants to attack me. Great. All I'm saying is it's too bad because the Abrams report has flaws in it, and you point out the flaws and you get attacked. But you know what? I'm the big boy. Keep attacking because as far as I'm concerned, I will continue to advocate for the people that use the registry. And the funny thing is, I would urge you to embrace all the good the registry does. Instead of tearing the registry down, why don't you listen to the people that are writing letters, that are communicating? A lot of good gets done by the registry and a lot of good services get done. Why don't you embrace that instead of attacking? Again, you can view this as not an attack. I do, but it is what it is. I mean, it's not like you hit me over the head with a hockey stick or anything. So, you move forward. But I would like to see the on-site registry chief information officer be made permanent. I would like to see the IT registry site, the registry IT technology staff there. And again, it wasn't that I said he wasn't ready. He said he wasn't ready to me, Peter. So I was reacting to an employee. I listened to my employees, and he wasn't ready to be a CIO. So what I'm trying to say is keep the CIO people over there. If you want to go back to the way it was, where the registry chief information officer was also the county chief information officer and helped out, that's great. I haven't heard anyone say that, but if I guess maybe you just said that. I don't know if
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah, that will solve it. Good. Well, that will
What's
solve
the
it.
problem
Yeah.
if we say, I think what's getting lost here is that we have an IT department. And again, in the report, in fairness to Abraham, they also examined the Aggie School, which has an IT department. And they did a great job comparing the two. And it's to make it easy, it's like apples and oranges. It didn't make sense to combine them. It just doesn't. They have different systems, different emails, everything else. So the logical thing to look at, if you're looking to consolidate, if you're looking to save money, if we're looking to be more efficient, was to look at combining the registry and our small department. And that's what the starting point was, okay? Combining it. It doesn't mean the person's going to be in this room in an office over here. It may be that, maybe not. The way you're sounding it, you need that person on site. So I would think right now that should be probably where the person would be. But where he answers to organizationally is what we're probably looking at here. And again, and I could be way out. Maybe I'm going too far out because we still need time to process and to evaluate and to look at all the things we documented. And you say you're being attacked. And again, I say this as a colleague. I think when you go on the attack, you're going to get rebuttal, right? And I know that, and I know that's your style. But I mean, certainly you can't.
I can live with it.
I know you can.
Because if it means that registry is going to be
hockey mentality is showing up. I know that.
If that means the registry of deeds operation is going to be torn down, if it means all the modernization initiatives that have gone on for years, and if it benefits. If it benefits me advocating for the users, I'm going to do it. And we'll end it at that.
To step aside, and maybe if I can't do off the record, but you have generated a tremendous amount of interest in this topic. Tremendous amount, more than I've ever seen since I've been elected as commissioner, and perhaps more than these great colleagues of mine have seen, and they have more experience than me. They're unbelievable. I mean, I'm getting letters and emails from people in my town and in my area that, and some of them are very, people like Attorney Jim Brady, and there's Brady and his letters, they're all coming in and they're all advocating for, please, leave the thing the way it is. Please leave the way it is. But part of that, I think, was, again, because of some, say, incorrect or misinformation. All right. And you can't deny the fact that when you put out the wrong cost or the words elimination or other things like that, you don't create some kind of a buzz that they're looking at. One person basically said the commissioners are incompetent to eliminate their position. And I was like, wait a minute, we're not, they're getting the wrong picture here. That's not fair to us. I'll just say, I can take it too. All of us here are elected. We know what it's like. When you get in that political arena, fire away, but make it a fair fight. That's all I'm saying. Make it fair. All right, come at us the fair way, not in some kind of around the corner way. I have said, and I'll say it again, I find the report is lacking. It needs some information. There are some areas I disagree with. I disagree with some of the things on maintenance and Aggie, and I agree with a lot of other things. I found a lot of other things in here are very worthwhile and should be explored. All right? It's a report. It's a recommendation. That's all. I know as a teacher, many years ago, we used to have people evaluate our school every 10 years. That was their job. And it was made up of a committee of people, and there were superintendents, principals, regular teachers, whatever. They'd come in and they'd say, okay, here's what we like, here's what we didn't, here's where you got to go. No one, people just looked at it and said, okay, hey, we disagree with this, we agree with that, but we gave a reason for that. All right, we disagree with that statement, that the science department needs to be improved because you got stadium, no, but you got to give reasons, you give rationale, you give backup. So here again, let us reason, let us remove the hostility, and let's move forward. I think we can do this, and explore it a little more. Hopefully we'll get some more answers and we'll explore it.
Okay, commissioners,
All right.
I'm going to ask that we continue to go to, on with our agenda. We have 5 or 6 more, hopefully short agenda items.
Yeah.
I want to thank the registry and the staff.
Thank you for
As I
coming.
said 20 minutes ago, this is an ongoing process and it's going to continue. So thank you very much for your presence. I'm not going to don't go away, folks. We're not even going to take a break because we have another meeting coming up and I want to get to it. Back on the regular agenda of our December 8th, 2021 meeting, I'm now going to go to item number 14, which is a report on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Director Cronin.
Thanks, Commissioner Shea. Briefly, just wanted to summarize that with the announcement earlier of the town of Dover's award this week, we are now up to 3 communities that have received ARPA. I will further inform you that a 4th community will be forthcoming next week.
Great.
To date, with today's award of $201,000, we are just shy of $2 million out of our total commitment. We are making way, and I'm very happy with the process so far. And I also want to mention one other community has joined the credential tool, which is great news. So we are nearly 100% compliant with communities actively asking questions. Assistant Director Buckley and I had a conversation with the town of Walpole this past week. Spent about an hour speaking with the town manager about his ideas for ARPA. He said it was the best conversation he's had so far on the topic. It was illuminating and helpful, and that's what we're here to do. So in addition to the town of Dover's award, I have no other additional information to add at this time, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I had an informal conversation with the Sharon town manager recently as well, and you're going to see something from them fairly soon as well. Have they signed it yet?
They have.
Okay,
They have.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Am I signing this? Something to sign?
Yeah, those are personnel papers.
Okay.
I think we signed it.
I haven't signed it yet.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments on opera, members?
Nice job, Joe.
Okay, number 15, report on COVID-19 response.
Nothing new, sir, but I think as we all observe, the COVID pandemic is still very active among us. We are simply tracking any and all incidences involving reported impacts on staff. We had one minor incident this week where an individual went out to get tested. We took precautionary measures to have any spaces the individual came in contact with fogged as precautionary as part of our policy. But we are still very much in a COVID pandemic mode, and we will continue to monitor things and report back as needed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Number 17, public comment. Director Cronin, did you receive any comments today or any?
I think you skipped over 16, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Report of the county director.
Number 16, report of the county director.
I'll be
I'm
quick.
sorry.
I'll be very quick. I'm
That's all
not
right.
getting late.
No,
Just few items. I first wanted to announce our RSVP coordinator, Robert Pearson, wants to share this information regarding the November to December 2021 newsletters, which were distributed to the commissioners last week. 350 copies of the newsletter were bulk mailed to volunteer base partner sites, veteran service officers, and senior centers. The annual holiday drive, sponsored by the Norfolk County RSVP volunteer program for active duty military, covers the front page of the newsletter. They publicize the holiday drive with listings in local newspapers. RSVP has 5 donation drops around the county to receive personal care items and letters of support. Nearby Amazon warehouses will be donated 2,700 care items along with packing supplies for RSVP. So thank you to our sponsor. Items will be collected through the end of 2021 and then caravanned down by staff and volunteers in early January 2022 to the Cape Cod Supports Our Vets group for mailing distribution to veterans around the world. They forecast a collection of up to 10,000 care items this year. Want to just make a note, the Norfolk County trustees will be meeting this evening rather, at 6 p.m. Finance Committee is meeting virtually this evening at 6 p.m. The advisory board is meeting next Wednesday, December 15th at 6 p.m., also virtually. Currently, I'm eyeing the completion of our FY20 audit. As many of you may know, that process has been underway for most of calendar year 2021. The auditor has informed me he may have some product for me within the next week or so. We're anxiously trying to close this so that we can have materials ready for our securities company to sell the bond associated with the schools by early January. And then finally, I drafted a memo which I will possibly have ready for final review next week as we are underway and approaching the winter season. I just wanted to send out a notice to all staff regarding snow days, storm days, and other impact days, that how the county will respond with respect to notifications of staff and so forth. I did inform the trial courts last week, as well as our facility maintenance department of our call tree. Basically, if there's any impact, storm days or loss of power, we've arranged for the on-site personnel, the custodial staff, to notify the trial court contact, Mr. McGowan, and myself with regular updates during those days. I think it's a clear-cut policy. The trial courts appreciate it. They use this in the other counties as well. This is an expansion of that to let all county department heads and employees know how we will operate in the event of a snow emergency or any other emergency. But I'll have that policy in front of you next week.
Do we follow, like, if dead end closes, we close? Something like that?
We follow the state right now, as far as I'm concerned, with respect to snow closures.
Okay.
And things like that.
Okay,
That is all I have. Thank you.
all right.
Number 17, public comment. Did you get any?
I have no public comment this week. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anybody on Zoom that wants to do that. But
Number 18. Emerging items or topics the chair did not reasonably anticipate. Last week I had 3 or 4. Today I do not have any. But my fellow commissioners, if you have anything, now is the time. Bring it up. Okay. I think this concludes today's meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Motion made and
All right.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, and we will resume next week, and